Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa salatu wa salamu ala khayr al-mursaleen. First of all, I'd like to say, want to say hearty congratulations to Cage for the settlement in the High Court. I know as a solicitor just how important that is, how difficult it is, how nerve-wracking it is, and I was delighted when I heard the news. I mean, with all the implications that it has, that the case has. I mean, many of those have already been explained to you already. I mean, and certainly when I heard some of the details, sort of in the High Courts in front of the Lord Chief Justice, no less, and also just one in the eye for William Shawcross. This is, it couldn't really the news couldn't really get much better. So, I mean, I mean, on my level, it was a great victory, but also I think, after a victory, it's also a suitable time for reflection, and just sort of a careful planning of what to do next. And I mean, undoubtedly, it was a victory for justice just in itself. And the thing is, I mean, from what I've seen of Cage, is that Cage, they're not just working for the Cage prisoners, but really for all the Muslims. And this is something that's really struck me as someone who, I mean, I have no direct connection with Cage, but obviously after no Muslim can really ignore the work that they've been doing, but in the last sort of couple of years especially. And as I've heard Asim and Saghir just sort of say here before, that what is happening to the Muslims, what Cage are doing, it's not just for the Muslims who are in prison, but that is just the tip of what potentially is happening to all of us. And I think that's an extremely important point, because in that way we are all under attack as Muslims in this country. However, that does lead you to think, so what is the fight? Increasingly, we do realise that we're under attack, and we see this in many different ways. And it makes you question who is the enemy. I mean, is it the establishment? Is it William Shawcross and the Charity Commission, I know, the neoconservatives and all the rest? And also, I mean, just after a victory, there's always that sort of inclination to go on and get another victory, to sort of ram it home. But in the situation that we're in is something quite hard to comprehend, and without sort of a deep sort of study and reflection. And really, the only way out of it is to generate support for the Muslims, for Islam, within the place that we're in, being England. And our fight is not really with the establishment by any means. And in fact, obviously it is foolish to take on the establishment, especially in court. There's simply no chance of winning. You'll win a battle or two, but they'll always win the war. But the way of generating support for Islam, and what I've seen in Cage they've done so well, is that they reflect Islam in what they do. And this is really the only way that we can progress, and that with that sincerity of trying to take on all the aspects, to embody the deen itself, and to display it for the English people. I mean, because the fact is that the Muslims are the people of justice. They are really the only ones who can do it. And I mean, and as the people of justice, as far as we can, obviously, we don't want to antagonize the establishment. I mean, we must be aware of our laws, and I think we're quite privileged in having some very skilled lawyers. But also the greatest sort of, potential danger is that by fighting that the Muslims can be, and indeed people have been trying to do this, are trying to sort of paint Cage out as someone who are taking people on in that way of and so trying to sort of create a sort of us and them narrative. I mean that's nonsense, but it's certainly a danger we need to be aware of. And really, so I would say for empowering communities, our focus should solely be on the Deen and not on our enemies, not on the war on terror, not all these terrible things which will always come our way and will only increase the more that we are people of justice. So do not expect anything other than that, but that it will increase. But that should not shake our focus or our sense of purpose at all. I mean, indeed, Allah has privileged us by putting us on the front line to establish justice, and in that scene, I have a tremendous respect for all the work that's been done here. I mean, lastly, I just want to say that really the only people who can fight in this way are the people who have a connection to the divine, and so this is something that this is what we have and what the others don't, and so this is something that we must continue to have, and this is something that I mean, this is the only way we can sort of progress, and it's also the only way that for people to truly appreciate and to get to know Islam is through our connection to the divine and our concern for justice. So, I mean, and in those things are all of those sort of lovely British values that David Cameron, sort of tries to shove down our throats. But in that way, we're certainly. I mean, he knows nothing about it really, and we're the ones with knowledge. So we ask Allah just to give us success in that, and then we take on the mantle of justice.